Today we're going to be talking about RumbleFighter. It's a free-to-play fighting game, I'd say. 3D fighting game. The game itself is actually pretty good, honestly. One of the core aspects here of the game, well, I'll go ahead and explain some of them. Well, right before that though, I'd highly recommend you not to actually play the game. So I'm going to start up by talking about the positives of the game. So, one of the most interesting things about the game is, well, it's 3D. So, you have your jump option, your double jump, and your dash. And then you have your punches, your kicks, your counter, your grab, your panic attack. Did I say counter already? Grab? Yeah. So you also have your jump attacks and your aerial grab as well. And then on top of that, there's the directions, which is fairly important for the game. So for the directional part of the game, you have well, you have you can face 8 directions: up, down, left, right, and then diagonal in respectively top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. So 8 directions or so. And all of this makes pretty appealing gameplay off of just that, and then you have your unique scrolls, which give you different combos, I guess, and different attack moves and options for your counter grabs and such. And then for one more additional layer on top of that, we also have exo cores, which sometimes they change your move set, like your punch and your combo list, I guess you would call it. Well, yeah, mostly we'll just refer to that as the combo list. So that changes your basic move set, like your punches, your grabs, potentially. And then there is also your exocore skills, which you typically have. Well, it's usually 2, but there are some exceptions to this. So you have the first skill, the second skill. And exocores slowly charge up over time. So the gameplay loop usually involves playing around your how well you can block and change your angle and adjust, and how you can time your attacks and certain attacks. Like, if you're blocking or guarding, whatever you want to call it, and your opponent starts attacking you, you can choose whenever you want to drop your guard. And that does matter, because there are options for both of you to utilize as well. And there's also the directional part, the directional aspect. After every single hit you tank, you actually have the opportunity to change your the direction you're facing a bit for both players, the blocking player and also the the player attacking on the guard or whatever. So what we have here is, well, we'll have a bunch of options on both sides. Like, the attacking player can, during the attack chain or combo, you might call it, like, they can actually go ahead and do the first hit, the punch, and then immediately time it properly, and they can chain it to the first punch of the combo again, or they can go ahead and do something, well, it depends on the exact scroll and whatnot, but punch, punch, and then you reset back to the first punch. This is a little awkward to explain if you haven't played the game, but I hope you understand what I'm saying here. So, the first punch as well can also be used as a slight movement option to adjust your position for different things as well. And then there's also the aspect of elevation, which comes up sometimes. And the panic attack, of course, before they implemented whatever garbage the air panic is. I just pretend that's not a real mechanic, honestly. So if you can, like, typically a lot of scrolls have a launcher, which is the third hit, and when you're launched into midair, you pretty much are just put in hit stun and have no movement options, so you just don't want to be put in that position. So, well, yeah, you just don't get put in that position. You play around that, make sure it doesn't happen. So, with that aside, on the third hit, that's typically, like, assuming you land the first and second hits, your opponent will be in hit stun for the third hit as well. So all of your attacks will just go through. So on the third hit, your opponent will probably actually panic or something like that when you're going to use your launcher, which will allow you to launch your opponent in the air, put them in hit stun, and then chain another combo on them while they're in the air, which is referred to as juggling. And during that situation, in that case, your opponent has to probably panic, which is limited to once or twice every single round. They can release a panic attack, and that will knock you back. It won't do too much damage, but it'll knock you back, stopping the combo and stopping you from well, I guess launching them. But during that, they're also put in slight hit stun as well. So if you can actually read this by, like, immediately dropping your guard, or not dropping your guard, dropping your combo and blocking, you can actually read the panic attack, and during that, you can punish them again and start the combo again from the first point. And then your opponent will have no options. And then you can freely just combo on them, and then the HP, or you can just kill them, I guess. They'll be in really hard disadvantage, and that's just one of the fundamental aspects of the game. It's kind of the type of mind game you want to be playing, but if your opponent is really good, they can mind game you a step further by simply doing nothing, and then you just drop the combo by yourself because you're anticipating the panic attack, and then they don't actually do the panic attack and you just go into your guard, and then they can just grab you, or they can just walk it off, the combo, and it becomes pretty high level like that. And there's some other more niche techs, but that's the main thing most people should be thinking about regarding this game. So I'll just talk about one more tech, I guess. So if you're on guard and your opponent is just attacking you, you have this crazy option where you just drop your guard during their combo, where they're just attacking you on your guard, I guess, or your when you're blocking. Then you can go ahead and drop that, and, like, in between, like, let's say hit 1, you're blocking, and then they use their second hit, you drop your guard and immediately go into counter. During that time, you can actually also change the angle you're facing to change where they'll get, well, affected by your counter, I guess, because counters are a bit different depending on what scroll you're playing. But that's also a thing you can do. And well, I guess this one's kind of important, so I'll mention this as well. When your opponent actually does a grab, the angle matters for which direction your opponent's facing, unless you have a omnidirectional grab or omni grab, which can grab your opponent no matter which direction they're facing, I suppose, would be the way to look at it. But if your opponent is facing up, for example, and you're facing to the right or the left, you can't actually grab your opponent with a normal grab. So the best way to overcome this would be to, I guess, grab them at an angle. So if they're facing upwards and you're facing about to the right, then you'd change your angle for the grab to down and to the right. But despite this intricate like gameplay and how honestly fun the game is, conceptually I guess you would say, the game mechanics are pretty solid. The actual execution and the current state of the game, not that good. There's a good chance that people will just DDoS you, or whatever you want to call it. And there's a chance that people might be able to honestly give you a virus, unironically, with some what is the term I'm looking for here? Remote executed code, or something like that. Which is not that great. And also, when you're playing online, there's pretty hard lag, which can make the game pretty unplayable. So, sometimes the gameplay, not that great. And honestly, right now I don't have too much of an issue with, like, if the game's pay to win or not. I think it's in an okay state regarding that. It's not too bad. Well, I haven't been playing recently, so I can't say for absolute certain, but typically the game, like, you can just do pretty well against someone regardless of, like, what scroll you're playing. Well, during when I was playing at least, and the game did remain like that for a good while. They did release some bullshit scrolls, but people we can gentleman to stuff, like, if there's 7 of us that don't really like the scroll you're playing, we can just all say, no thanks, and just recreate a lobby or something, for example. And then we can just keep kicking out the guy who's trying to bring out that bullshit, whatever scroll they're trying to play. For example, if we really don't like it, but with that regard, there's just 2 ways that situation goes. One is, you know, the basic one where you could just ask them kindly, like, can you just not use that scroll, please? And they'll be like, alright, you know, fair enough, it's kind of bullshit. Or everyone can go like, oh, I see, you're playing this. Let us all just play this bullshit then. And then it just evolves into a bit of a fiesta. If you know, Shadow Ninjutsu, or whatever that scroll is called, I don't remember the exact name. That scroll? Kinda stupid. And it's not really too punishable. So, that scroll? Pretty yucky. And, that's about where that goes. So, during some of the footage I'm going to be shown here, you guys might have noticed the game actually, like, looking like trash. It looks kind of glitchy or something like that, and it's going, like, all black randomly. Well, that wasn't actually my software messing up or anything. That was just the game. Yeah. Well, that was just for one patch, but it was a pretty bad patch, actually. If you notice at the start of every single round, the game actually goes like black for a moment. If you press any buttons during that, you actually instantly clip through the ground and die. As you can tell, the game, very high quality, very impressive indeed. But despite the flaws, I still overall do like the game, but it's just, I don't feel like it's in a very playable state, and I think, or not so much think, I feel it's pretty unfortunate, because there were many passionate players for this game, and a lot of people genuinely enjoyed this game, but I feel like the devs couldn't manage to pull through for us players here. I mean, the game still exists to this day, but I highly recommend, if you do try, just pull out a VPN. Or maybe go a few steps further. I'm not sure what people can do to you whilst you're playing this game. But genuinely, the game's pretty fun. Well, I'll just really go hard into the negatives here, though. One of the things that people really don't like about this game. Well, the hardest one is the lag issue. The lag issue is really bad, and it's not an exaggeration when I say this. Like, because of how the online is coded, I guess, partially, if one person is lagging really hard, they're what I guess the community might call a Goku. They're doing instant transmission all over the place. They're instantly teleporting all over the place, and that's just not really fun and not really playable. You're just randomly throwing punches in directions, and you're getting hit by invisible people. And I guess cheating is also a small issue. I guess hack clients, I don't know exactly how it works, but I don't think I can even talk about it on YouTube, I don't think. I think it's against the TOS. I'm not completely sure, but there's actually a lot of stuff regarding that as well. But I mean, it's not like that bad because you can just, it's not like everyone's cheating, but it is still like an issue that exists, along with the fact that people can probably execute code on your computer whilst you play the game, because that's just how the game is, I guess. And getting DDoS by a player who's just lost you or something, salt, whatever, that kind of thing, that's not exactly enjoyable either. And some of the community members are kind of toxic, and some of them are just that malicious and willing to maybe break the law, I guess. In fact, here's a little story. There once was this player that was just giving away the premium currency. I don't remember what it was at the time, but I don't remember if it was Game Campus or Red Fox who were, well, handling the game at the time, but we'll just assume it's Red Fox. It's not really the fault of the company here in this case. This is more so the player base here, but there was just this player that was giving away free Red Fox coins or whatever it's called. And surprise, surprise, everyone's going to get banned that received free Red Fox coins from this guy. You guys want to know why? This player actually stole someone else's credit card. Not sure on the exact details, but this is the gist of it. So, every single player that got gifted by this player actually got banned because of this, which is kind of goofy, kind of silly. But that's the kind of player base we have for this game. I guess it kind of is what it is, but they're scamming and such, it's just kind of not that great when it comes to the community sometimes. But there are obviously, on the other spectrum of this, there's some pretty nice community members as well. They'll help you out, teach you how to play the game, they'll play with you, you know, they'll spar with you, they'll help you out with whatever, right? That's also something well,
Battle 2.
yeah. And I think we can stop it at there for now. I could go on for a while longer, but I think I explained the gist of it, so I'll see you guys next video. See ya.